So how long does it take to do a title search on real estate? Hello, this is Dave at titlesearch.com. And the question comes up a lot of times when there's a short deadline or some type of an ETA that's needed, how long a title search takes. Well, a little bit depends on if it's a do-it-yourselfer type title search or it's a professional title abstract being prepared. Typically, for a professional certified title examiner, title abstractor, we plan on about 2 or 3 hours at the recorder's office, 1 or 2 hours in civil court, an hour at the assessor's office, 1 to 4 hours at other sources, we'll get to that in a minute, and maybe 1 or 2 hours analyzing. So it's a total of anywhere between 7 to 12 man hours of actually doing work in the courthouses. Now, this normally occurs over 1 to 3 business days, depending upon when the order comes in, when the courthouses are open, what their schedule is. And here's how that works. In the records office, recorder's office, recorder of deeds, whatever it's called, we're going to need to pull all the deeds, liens, mortgages for that property and for those grantor grantee name indexes. We'll go through each one, make sure we have all of them, and pull those from the courthouse. Then we're going to go over to civil court to make sure if there's any judgments or if there's any civil court records that could affect the property, pull those documents out. We'll go to the tax assessor's office. That's usually an hour process, sometimes less. That usually goes pretty fast. Want to make sure the taxes are paid, there's no delinquencies, there's no special assessments. It's not just a matter of seeing if that account's paid. We want to see if there's anything coming down the pipe that might need accounting for on the title. Then there's other sources. In some states, there's a pathonetary records office. Secretary of State may have UCC documents. Probate records might need to be checked, and those may be in separate offices depending upon how that county or recording venue handles their documents. So we allocate usually between 1 and 4 hours for those other secondary sources. And the last thing we do, once we've pulled all the records from all those sources, we're going to have a big stack of papers that we're going to need to go through. That's what's called the analyzing or abstracting phase of the title search. And each document will be reviewed to see what it means, what information it's going to have pertaining to that property. Do the documents cancel each other out? Is there a mortgage on one hand and a release over here? They may cancel each other out. That is some of the factors that goes into that time. Reading the lengthy documents. You can't just look at this deed and just say, okay, Joe Smith, Bob Jones. You have to read through and see what actually transpired on that transfer. You have to read through that text. To verify the document numbers. If one document refers to another, you have to make sure those document numbers line up. Sometimes we have to wait for archives. If we need a particular deed that we found in the index, normally we can go pull the book off the shelf in the courthouse and get that deed. Some of the documents are in old archival deed books or microfilm where you can't access it directly. You have to put in a request to the county recorder. They'll call you when it's done. It could be a couple hours, it could be the next day, so that may add some time to it. And then going through the complex records on some properties like foreclosures may add to that time frame. That's why there's that range of 6 or 8 up to 12 hours, man hours of work. And it doesn't happen all at once. Some of these things have to happen, and then you have travel time in between. Sometimes identifying the property from what's given may add a little bit of time, because the ultimate identifier of a property is this last paragraph called the legal description. It's not the property address. So those are the things that go into the time of a title search. If it's a do-it-yourself title search, if somebody's going to the courthouse, an untrained searcher, it may take a little bit longer because you're not going to know exactly where to go and pull things real quick. You may have to ask some questions. You may have to double check things that a certified title examiner will know how to do. So usually it's about 8 to 12 hours, depending upon the complexity of the records and what the history of that property is. If you have more questions about turnaround time or how we can do it faster, sometimes we can put 2 or 3 people on one search and run it concurrently and get it back a little faster if you have a hard deadline. Reach us at our website, titlesearch.com.